Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of CMN Chats. My name is Alexa Sandler. I am a senior prad major as well as a digital content assistant within the College of Communication, and I'm so excited to bring you guys another episode of CMN Chats with our special guest, Joli Daninger.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hi, I'm so glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's a real honor. I was excited when you asked me to be a part of it. I'm excited.
Of course. So why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so like I said, my name is Joli Daninger. I am a fourth year, so technically a senior, and I actually graduated with an organizational communication degree last year from DePaul. And then I entered into the master's program for marketing, and I am planning to graduate this spring. So yeah, I'm really excited. And it's kind of a big step getting ready for the real world. But yeah, I'm also on the women's basketball team, so that is kind of a crazy aspect of my life as well. So that's kind of my full-time job, as I like to say. But yeah, I really love DePaul and being here, and Chicago is a great city. So yeah, it's a little bit about me.
I can totally sympathize with you on the coming out into the real world aspect, as I'm also graduating. As daunting as it is exciting. But how did you decide to study organizational communication, especially coming into the university as an athlete? Kind of how does, picking your major play into that?
Yeah, so mine, I guess, is kind of a funny story. Mine was almost process of elimination, where coming in, I kind of knew I didn't really want to go into the science field. I knew I didn't really want to do math. And then I took a couple of communications classes just as electives, and I loved them. I just loved everything that is about. And I was like, you know what? I can talk to people, I guess. That's not a bad way. And obviously, there's more to communications than just talking to people. But yeah, it was kind of just going and taking some of those classes as electives. And I loved it. I loved the content and even just the professors, the kids in my class, and everyone just being a part of that atmosphere. I just loved everything about it. So then I kind of went from there, and I've enjoyed it the whole way.
That's such a funny story about process of elimination. Tell us a little bit more about the coursework and what exactly organizational communication is.
Yeah, so organizational communication is kind of in itself is communication within an organization as a whole. So it's kind of looking whether it's management, and so you're kind of managing people below you. And obviously, as we know, there's problems are going to exist in the real world, and they're going to exist in the workforce. So that organization aspect is within the organization, obviously, and then using that communication to kind of settle things and kind of make the company work efficiently, and finding the best ways to manage employees and kind of so forth. So just using communication from bottom top, just throughout the organization as a whole.
That's really awesome. Is there a favorite course or professor that you've had during, the undergrad time that you had?
Oh, that is a tough one. I've taken quite a few. I guess if I can kind of change the question, one of them was in my master's course, and it was with Andy Clark, and I actually had him for event planning as an undergrad. So that's how I kind of found him as a professor, and I've heard lots of good things about him. And I took that one, and then for my master's program in marketing, I was able to kind of get out of it and have an exception to take his class, which is sports communication. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I don't know the official name, but that's essentially what it was. And just looking at communication within organizations in the sports world. And so I loved that. And the connections that was formed was awesome. And yeah, I had so many great undergrad classes. I don't think I had one organizational communication class in undergrad that I didn't enjoy. So that really speaks for itself.
Yeah, and I know that's a tough question for me to pick a favorite class out of everything that you've taken over the last 4 years. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I also had Andy Clark as a professor, and nothing but my highest regards for him as well. So
yeah, he's awesome. So I recommend him for anyone listening that wants to take a class. I highly recommend him.
So shifting gears from organizational communication, you mentioned, and we all should know at this point, you're a member of the basketball team. How do you balance the student-athlete life? I played basketball in high school, and having that balance between coursework and extracurriculars and me time and my sport was difficult. Mm-hmm. So I can't even imagine that on the college level. So how do you handle all of that?
Yeah, it is definitely tough. I think something you will hear every student athlete, no matter what sport, what university, wherever they are, what level, you're going to hear time management is key. And that is absolutely correct. And it's one of those that every night before I go to bed, I have to think, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do the next week? And it's, every weekend, it's kind of getting yourself set and, okay, this is my plan. This is what I'm going to try to get done this day. And then I'm going to try to get this done this day. And especially with this year, it's been weird with our ever-changing schedule. So it's definitely staying on top of your homework and your assignments and getting them done early if possible. Because with ever-changing, you just don't know when a game's going to pop up, when a game's going to get canceled, when practice is going to get changed, and so forth. And we have a great athletic academic advisor in Terry Sullivan. She is awesome. She's on top of it. Whether it's just texting us about, hey, make sure you get this in, or just asking kind of about grades and asking how we're doing, that I think that that staff in our athletic academic advising, so we call it AAA. They are so awesome at staying on top of things and helping us stay organized. But like I said, being on the team is kind of a full-time job, and so it takes up time, but time management is huge, and it's helped me stay on top of things and be successful with both.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are always busy doing something, practice, game, traveling. So time management, I'm sure, must be the one thing. And something that I've always wondered, with talking about college sports, is how do you guys have a practice schedule, right? Everybody's taking classes at different times. I've always just thought about it and wondered, how does that work? Because you guys could have classes. You have an evening class, and how do you guys plan practices?
Yeah, so Coach Bruno is awesome. He is all about athletics and academics, that he wants us, we are student athletes, and that is a huge part. We're not here just to play basketball. We're here to get an education. And so he is super great at letting us pick classes, and then based on our classes, we'll pick practice time around that, which again can make it really tricky, where I know I have class Tuesday and Wednesday nights. So we have practice right before on Tuesday. So I'll be running out of practice, changing super quick, and not even time to shower. And then I'm running, obviously it's different this year with being online, which that helps a lot with the schedule wise. But it's, a lot of times running from practice to class or class to practice one way or another. But our coaching staff is really good about letting us pick our classes first, because they understand that some of these classes are only offered at certain times.
Right.
And then based off of our class schedule, they plan practices. So I can imagine, I'm not involved in the planning, but I can imagine it's definitely a huge puzzle that they have to put together.
Yeah. And, talking about remote coursework and how, everything in the world has shifted because of COVID, but, especially within the sports world, how has your day-to-day as an athlete changed, and how have you adjusted to everything that's shifted?
It's definitely an adjustment. I mean, I know I'm not the only one, so everybody has to adjust to the online classes, and obviously it's a weird change. I think it's just weird being on my laptop so much, where I try not to be on it as much, but with virtual classes and online classes, doing everything, even just down to homework, everything is there. So I think it's a weird change. And like I was talking about practices and games, and I think that has been one of the biggest changes this year, is just with the opportunity that every game is sacred, as Coach Bruno likes to say, that no game is guaranteed, especially with COVID. That I know there was one time we were going to play Xavier, and we made it all the way to the airport. We were on the bus getting ready to board the plane, and we got a call from Xavier that someone in their program tested positive. So we turned that bus right back around and came back to campus, and our game was canceled. So it's definitely a change, but it's one of those, I can't throw a pity party for myself or for our team, because it's happening across the country and everybody has to deal with it in different ways.
Yeah, totally. And I remember when that case from Xavier happened, and I was just, I can't even imagine having to turn that bus right back around.
Yep.
And I mean, even the stuff that I've noticed, being different, like I told you before, I do sports photography for the DePaul and shoot basketball mainly. And, even just the first time I walked into the arena, the first game I came back after the break was, just the bench being separated and that, those seats being separated and not having those celebrations like you used to, and the fake crowd noise, those changes even impacted me, and I'm just on the sidelines too. So
yes. Yeah, absolutely. That is a big change where I think like basketball being a team sport, it's you build off of each other's energy. So it's tough when, it's an empty gym and you hear everything. It's like, it's so quiet. And like you mentioned, the fake crowd noises, and it's like, we appreciate the effort, but it's so different where we're used to even just having our parents up in the stands. Like you're running onto the court and you don't see your faces. I mean, I guess we see the fathead faces in the stands. So that's kind of fun that they did that. But yeah, it's so different. And yeah, we have to make our own energy kind of being on the bench even far away. That I think that's one of those that we've had to increase, just that camaraderie from the team as a whole.
Totally. So in your time as an athlete, has there been a favorite basketball memory? I personally have one that I witnessed, but I want to hear what you have to say about this.
Oh, man. I mean, I would say it has to be one of the 3 Big East championships. That all 3 of them were so different. I think it was my freshman year. All 3 years we played Marquette, and we were able to beat them in the championship game, which was awesome because anybody that goes to DePaul or Marquette, about that rivalry, and that is huge. So every time you play them, it's a big game, much less when you're in the Big East championship game. It's unreal. So I would say if I had to choose a favorite one, it would have to have been a couple years ago, my sophomore year, when I know it was Shantae Stonewall. I'll give a shout out to her. She hit the and one layup to put us over Marquette. So we were down by 2, and then she drove in and made the basket, got fouled, and then made the free throw, and we won by 1 point. So it was a crazy, crazy game. So I would say that has to be my favorite one.
Yeah, I was about to say that was my favorite memory. I was there at that game. I mean, goosebumps down my whole body.
I have goosebumps right now thinking about it.
Me too. I was right under the basket pretty much for that one. Saw it all happen. I mean, and then turning to the bench and seeing your guys' reaction. I mean, that it doesn't get any better than like that moment where it's just like a tough game the whole way, and literally goosebumps. Like I talk about that moment as like being the peak of everything that I've experienced with DePaul sports. Is just that moment incredible.
Yeah, well, I think it's moments like those that it really reminds you that all the summer workouts we do, all the early mornings, late nights, when there's times you don't want to get out of bed and go to practice. You don't want to do all that. And you go to moments like that and it's all worth it.
Yeah.
It's in an instant. It's like, that is why we do what we do. And that is why we play this sport and like have those amazing moments. So yeah, that was definitely my favorite one.
I love that. So kind of wrapping up a little bit, you completed your undergrad in organizational communication like we talked about. You're wrapping up your master's in marketing. You just finished out the regular season for basketball. What's next? What do you plan on doing after you graduate? If you don't know, much like me, I don't know yet, but like what's the dream after?
Wow, that is a tough one. I don't know 100% like right away what is going to happen, but ultimately my dream career, I would love to work in like a sports communication, sports marketing field for at least a few years or however many years after graduation, and just kind of staying in that competitive environment, which is so much fun. And then eventually I would love to transition over to working for a nonprofit. I love what nonprofits are about, and I like just volunteering for some of them. I just love that environment as well. So it would definitely be a change going from the competitive, so fast-paced sports world to a nonprofit. But I think that's what I'm hoping my future holds. But we'll see. Life is ever-changing. We didn't expect this last year to be how it was. So I guess flexibility is the main thing, and just trusting that everything will fall into place.
See, for a tough question, you had a good answer. You at least know a little bit of what you want to do.
Kind of vague, but that's okay. I know the general idea of what I want to do, but just hoping everything falls into place.
Likewise. I thank you so much. Those are all the questions I have for you. So I just want to thank you so much for being a part of this. It was a pleasure talking to you and getting to know a little bit more about your experience. And so thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and so to those of you at home for watching, thank you so much, and make sure to stay tuned for future episodes. Hello, everybody. I just want to come on here and say thank you so much for watching this episode of CMN Chats. As I graduate at the end of this quarter, this is my last episode recording for this series, and so I want to thank everybody for watching it and supporting it, and I hope you enjoyed all of the amazing guests and amazing conversations that we've had as much as I have. CMN Chats is not going anywhere. Make sure you stay tuned for future episodes.